Hello and welcome to the Numismatic Minute. My name is David, and today we're doing a video that I've wanted to do, and that's a showcase of my currency collection as it sits today. And we'll start mostly with the purchases. These are the things that I've attained through going out and looking for them. And the first thing that we have, and I've shown this before in my previous video looking at the currency that I have, and that's just a 1957B silver certificate. Nothing terribly exciting here, but it is part of the collection. It does fill that spot for a 57 silver certificate. Being a B, it wasn't actually printed in 57, but interesting nonetheless. Still definitely very cool. The next note that I would have to show is going to have to be my World War II Hawaii note. And if you don't know the history behind this note, basically this is World War II has started, and there is a concern that Japan may take over Hawaii, may overrun Hawaii, and if they do that, they're going to have access to a ton of American money, and we don't want them to use that against us in the war effort. So all Hawaiian bills were printed with Hawaii along the back, just like here, and with that interesting brown seal on the front. So even though this is a 1935, that doesn't mean it was in 35. This was definitely in the 40s, after the war has started. Sometime, I'm not sure of the exact date, sometime between 1939 and following, but I think it's going to be earlier in the war for sure. So that fills the spot for the World War II note. Next, just a 1935, no letter, normal 1935 silver certificate. You'll note on the back, different than the 1957, the absence of "In God We Trust." Pull that 57 back there for the motto on the back. That was something that was added later. On bills, at least. You can find some older examples of coins, but on bills, "In God We Trust" was something that was added a little bit later. Next, a 1934 Big One note. This is getting into the funny back notes, but this particular bill was printed for a very short period of time, only printed for about a year, I believe. And this is my 1934 Big One note. And to go with that, I had an interest. If I had the Big One in the $1 bill, I kind of wanted it in some of the other denominations. So we have the $1 bill. And again, I did mention that was a funny back, so I'll go ahead and show that for a moment. Reminiscent of the large style horse blanket notes. They called them funny backs because they look kind of like Monopoly money. But we have a $1 bill, a $5 bill in the big blue 5, and I just think these are neat. Also silver certificate. That's a 1934 D. And we'll look at the back. The absence of the motto, because it's before those mottos were put on there. And a 1934 $10 bill with the big blue 10 on there. I think these are neat. I don't know why. I just like the way they look. And the reverse of the 10. Both the 5 and the 10 are in very good shape. And now a 1928 A. So we're about 8 years short of being 100 years old on this particular bill. It's going to be a little bit after that since it is the A. It's going to be printed in 29 or 30. But still a very interesting note. And that funny back from the big blue one from earlier. What's the next possible thing we could see? It's got to be the large notes. So we'll zoom out. And a 1923 horse blanket note. Adjust the camera for that. There we are. So a 1923 silver certificate. Called a horse blanket note because it's as big as a horse blanket. Definitely larger than normal bills that we would see today. And my only other large note is this one, and it's probably one of my more favorite notes, if not my favorite note. It's a 1914 Federal Reserve note, $20 bill. And you may know may know what the back of this note is, and if you do, congratulations on being the numismatist in the viewers group. That's the transportation note. How cool is that? It's got the train on the back, ship, a little tugboat, car, and there's a plane somewhere. There it is. Plane is right up here. And that's just kind of showing, at the time in 1914, what were we as Americans proud of, and it's our accomplishments in transportation and other things. Industry is kind of what this is showing off. So very cool note. And the only note that I have that you could have traded in for gold, I believe. If you look at the very bottom, when you look at the promise, this note is receivable statement. You can see it right there. In 1914, you could have taken this to a Federal Reserve Bank and traded it for a $20 gold piece, so a St. Gaudens piece of gold. Very cool. Don't have a piece of gold like that to show you. I have one piece of gold. It's a foreign piece. Did it in a Foreign Friday video. You can see that if you want to, but no American gold as of yet. And that's going to be the large note older bills that I have. I do have some other kind of cool things. We'll run through those very quick. Won't spend too much time on them. And these are things that I have found in circulation. So, in 1977, $5 bill. Just pulled it out because it was so old and not in too terrible shape. It's definitely got some wrinkles and shows of use and wear, but very cool. I was particularly interested in it because I had just purchased a pistol made in the same year of 1977, so it went together fairly well. A 2017 $1 bill, not terribly exciting, just the 5 zeros at the very end. Not worth anything, but for $1, why not? I'll pull it out of circulation, save it before somebody gets a fingerprint on it. I was fortunate enough to pull this out of a brick of 1,000 bills, so very nice to have. A 1963 Red Seal $2 bill, worth $2.50. Not worth a whole heck of a lot, especially in the condition that it's in. And the old reverse of the $2 bill with Monticello on the back. A 1963 Red Seal $5 bill, and just picked it out because of its age and was not completely destroyed, so kind of cool. And this one, which I was surprised to find in the condition that it was. I think I saved it from the bank. I think they were about to send it off and get it destroyed, but this is a 1963 $10 bill. And no, it is not the distress note. On the back of some $10 bills, you'll find that the stars on the flag almost look like they're on the bottom, as if the flag is flipped upside down, known as a help or a distress note. This is not one of those, and I believe those are simply printing errors. It's just where ink is gathered at the bottom of the flag rather than the top, so it gave that kind of impression that it was upside down. This $2 bill, I'll need to check the blue book for that, or the red book for that, but this one is kind of interesting, being a 1976 star note. Kind of cool. Didn't have any star note $2 bills, I don't believe, so it was nice to kind of find this one, and again, found it in circulation. And this is the newer design of the back of the $2 bill. And a 1950A with a terrible crease in the middle. You can see it on camera very easily. A small spot right there with a pinhole through it. But 1950A, $100 bill. And this one, I have not looked at, but interesting enough, I haven't noticed it till just this moment. If you read the promise at the top left, and we'll compare it to the next note in just a moment, another $100 bill, but when you read the promise at the top, let's go ahead and zoom that in a little more. This note is legal tender for all debts, public and private, and redeemable in lawful money at the United States Treasury or at any Federal Reserve Bank. And at the very bottom, will pay to the bearer on demand. I can't believe I haven't noticed this till just now, looking at it with the video. this would have been receivable in gold. Doesn't look like anything on the back says specifically any big promissory note, but with it being a promise to pay, you could have taken that to the bank and received it in gold or silver. How cool is that? I didn't even notice that. The next bill we'll show is a 1985, which is not going to have that promise on it. So we'll look at it and we'll look at the promises right next to each other. This note is legal tender for all debts, public and private. And instead of at the bottom having will pay to the bearer on demand, simply $100. And I pulled this one out just because of the quality of the bill. It just looked really good, so I wanted to pull it out and save it before it got a crease in it at some point. But for a 1985, and again, finding this in circulation, looks pretty nice. Looks really good. The back has one problem, and that is going to be a spot that I wish was not there, but I can't do anything about it now, right above, or rather right beside the top of Independence Hall. A half crease, I guess we'll call it, at the very top line of the bill. But again, only issues that are present on this bill whatsoever. Very nice thing to find. I believe when I looked it up in the Red Book, worth about $75 over face. So kind of cool. Good luck finding anybody that would pay $75 over face for this, but it'll stay in the collection. It'll live there until I need to spend it. Any of these bills in this last set could be sold at any time for face value, or I might take it to a coin shop and see if I can sell it. But an interesting note that I'll hold on to for as long as I can. And next, a 1969B $50 note. And I grabbed this as soon as I saw it. I don't have any old $50 bills. I don't even believe I have a new $50 bill. I definitely know I don't have any new $50 bills because I didn't pull any out of the album that's right behind the bills. And being 69, there's no promise to pay. And of course the capital on the back. Not the greatest condition, but it is an example of an older style $50 bill. And these are the last three. I'm down to the last three bills. I like these. I'm kind of proud of these. I managed to pull, I believe, every one of these bills, the next three. I pulled them out of bricks of ones and fives. The first two of ones, because they are $1 bills. And I'll give you a second to see if you can determine what's interesting about this note. You can pause the video if you want for a pop quiz. This is a radar note, or a palindrome note, I've heard it called as well. If you read the serial number from front to back and back to front, it's the exact same. So 695-88596, 695-88596. Kind of cool. And again, pulled it straight out of a brick of ones, so in perfect condition. Save a little excess ink from the previous page that's apparent rather on one of the bills. And this is 718-99817. And then the last one, a $5 bill, radar note, 843-00348. And that is my paper currency collection. Other than that, I have some fake bills that I just keep on the desk as bookmarks and things like that. But this is pretty much what I have. If you enjoyed this video, please go ahead and put a like on the video. If you want to see more content like this, go ahead and hit subscribe. And if you have any questions or comments, go ahead and drop them down in the comments below. This is a very, very new channel. And if you're interested in helping get us kicked off, go ahead and drop the comments. I know it helps us with YouTube and how all that works. Thank you very much for watching. Again, my name is David, and this is the Numismatic Minute.